I never thought I'd be sitting here at 28, staring at a photo album and questioning my entire relationship. My boyfriend and I have been together for 5 years, and honestly, I thought we had it all figured out. He's 34, successful, and everything I ever wanted in a partner. Caring, smart, and the kind of person who makes you feel like you're the most special person in their world. We met at my friend Kate's birthday party. The moment we started talking, there was this instant connection that you read about in books but never really believe exists. Our first date was at this cozy Italian restaurant where we talked for hours, discovering how much we had in common. Within months, we were spending every weekend together, exploring new places and building our own little world. I'll never forget our first vacation together in the mountains. We spent a week hiking, laughing, and just enjoying each other's company. That's when I knew I wanted to spend my life with him. He seemed to feel the same way, or at least that's what I thought. We'd talk about our future, about marriage and kids, though it was always in this vague, someday kind of way. After 2 years of dating, we moved in together. Our home became this beautiful collection of memories, photos from our travels, little souvenirs we'd picked up along the way, and all these small touches that made it uniquely ours. We faced challenges together, career changes, family issues, personal growth, and I always thought these experiences made us stronger. Last year, we celebrated our 5th anniversary with a trip to the Caribbean. I was sure he would propose. I mean, everything pointed to it being the perfect moment. I had been dropping hints for the past year, and even our families had started asking when we'd get married. But he didn't. I tried not to show my disappointment, telling myself he just needed more time. Back home, the pressure kept building. My parents, who absolutely adore him, would constantly ask about wedding plans. His family started making comments too, and I could see it was getting to him. I tried to tone down my hints, but the uncertainty was eating away at me. I couldn't shake this feeling that something wasn't right. I started questioning everything. Was he really as committed to our future as I was? Did he see me as his forever person? Or was he just comfortable with how things were? The doubts kept piling up until I couldn't ignore them anymore. Yesterday, I finally gathered the courage to have that conversation. I needed to know where we stood, if we were moving toward the same goals. Sitting him down, I asked the question that had been haunting me. Do you ever plan on marrying me? His response felt like a punch to the gut. He said he wanted to get married someday, but he wasn't sure if he wanted to marry me. He didn't feel like we were there yet. 5 years together, and he wasn't sure if we were there yet. I've been crying nonstop since then, wondering if he's just with me because it's convenient, questioning every moment we've shared. Looking back at all the signs, I realize I should have seen this coming. Over the past year, I'd become an expert at dropping hints about marriage, sharing articles about wedding trends, pointing out things I liked at friends' weddings, even leaving bridal magazines around the house. At first, he'd smile and nod, sometimes even join the conversation, but gradually his responses became less enthusiastic, and he'd get quiet whenever the topic came up. Family gatherings became especially tough. My mom would always bring up how she and Dad got married after just 1 year of dating, looking meaningfully at my boyfriend while saying it. My dad would chime in with comments about how marriage was the best decision they ever made. My boyfriend would skillfully change the subject, but I could see how uncomfortable these conversations made him. Even his parents would drop hints, saying things like, "You two make such a lovely couple. Have you thought about taking the next step?" All this pressure started taking its toll on him. He became more withdrawn, less excited about making future plans. Sometimes I'd catch him lost in thought, and I wanted to ask what was bothering him, but I was scared of the answer. I felt torn between understanding that he needed to feel ready and being tired of waiting. One evening, after watching a romantic movie that ended with a perfect proposal, I tried bringing up the topic again. Snuggling closer to him, I said, "Isn't it wonderful how they knew they wanted to spend their lives together? Do you ever think about what our wedding would be like?" He hesitated before answering, "I do think about it, but I'm not sure we're ready for that step yet." His words hurt more than I wanted to admit. I held back tears, not wanting to push him away. The questions from friends didn't help either. "You two have been together for so long," they'd say. "When are you going to make it official?" Each comment felt like a tiny needle pricking at my hope. Things came to a head during a dinner with my parents. My mom, never one to beat around the bush, said straight out, "It's high time you two start thinking seriously about marriage. You're not getting any younger, and we'd love to see some grandkids." I could see my boyfriend's face turn pale, and though he tried to deflect as usual, I could tell it was really getting to him. That night, as we got ready for bed, I apologized if I'd been adding to the pressure. He took my hand and said, "It's not just you. It's everyone. I feel pulled in all directions, and I don't know what to do. I love you, but I need to feel sure about this." His words offered some comfort, but the uncertainty remained. I felt caught between my deep desire for commitment and my love for him. I didn't want to push him away, but I couldn't ignore my own needs and hopes for the future. Finally, yesterday, I couldn't take it anymore. I spent the afternoon pacing our apartment, rehearsing what I would say. When he came home from work, looking tired but content, he greeted me with his usual kiss and smile. For a moment, I almost lost my nerve, but I knew this conversation had to happen. "We need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. We sat down on the couch, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about our future. We've been together for 5 years now, and I love you more than anything, but I need to know where we stand. Do you ever plan on marrying me?" The silence that followed felt endless. When he finally spoke, his words shattered my world. "I love you too. You're everything to me, but I don't know if I'm ready to marry you yet." I felt tears welling up in my eyes. "What do you mean you're not ready? We've been together for so long. I thought we were on the same page." "I know, and I'm sorry," he said, his voice pained. "It's not about you. I just don't feel like we're there yet. I need more time to be sure." "More time?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "We've built a life together. We've talked about our future, about having a family. How can you not be sure?" He looked at me, his eyes full of regret. "I don't want to make a promise I can't keep. Marriage is a big step, and I need to be absolutely certain." I pulled away when he tried to hold my hand. "Do you have any idea how it feels to hear this after 5 years? To think that you might never be ready?" My tears were flowing freely now. I feel like I've been living in a fantasy. Desperate to understand, I reached out to his sister the next day. She's become like my own sister over the years, and I needed her perspective. Over tea, she explained something I hadn't considered. Their parents had a rough marriage, and it affected him deeply. "He's scared," she told me. "He doesn't want to end up feeling trapped or unhappy. He wants to be absolutely sure before taking that step." Her words helped me understand him better, but they didn't make the situation any easier. I spent the next few days in a daze, swinging between hope and despair. One night, sitting alone in our living room, I started writing in my journal about our relationship, the love we shared, our dreams, my fears and doubts. It helped me see things more clearly. I realized that my self-worth couldn't depend on whether he was ready to marry me. I'm a strong, independent woman with my own dreams, but I also knew that walking away from him would be the hardest thing I've ever done. My best friend Sarah has been my rock through all of this. When I showed up at her door crying, she listened, without judgment, and reminded me that I deserve someone who's just as committed to me as I am to them. "Don't waste your life waiting for someone who can't commit," she said, echoing my mom's words. After days of reflection, I finally made my decision. I asked him to meet me at our favorite park. When he arrived, I could see the worry in his eyes. "I've missed you," he said softly. "I've missed you too," I replied, "but we need to talk." I took a deep breath. I love you more than words can express, and these past 5 years have been incredible, but I can't keep living in uncertainty. I need to know that we're moving forward, that we're building a future together. His response confirmed what I'd been afraid to accept. "I can't say for sure if I want to marry you," he admitted. "I've been thinking a lot, and I still don't know if I see myself as a husband or father." I left the park in tears, driving aimlessly until I found myself at a quiet spot overlooking the city. My phone kept buzzing with messages from him, from Sarah, from my mom, but I couldn't talk to anyone yet. I needed to process this moment that had just changed everything. The past few weeks have been about healing and rediscovering myself. I've started therapy, taken up new hobbies, and spent more time with friends and family. He and I still talk occasionally. He says he'll wait until I'm ready to try again, that he'll prove he's committed. But I've realized something important. Whether or not we find our way back to each other, I'll be okay. Sometimes I still find myself looking at that photo album, but now I see those memories differently. They're part of my story, but they don't define my future. I'm learning to be at peace with uncertainty, knowing that whatever comes next, I'm strong enough to handle it. This might not be the ending I imagined for our story, but maybe it's the beginning of a new chapter, one where I put myself first.